Hello, everyone. Good evening. Today's podcast episode is about men's rights, men's mental health, all that kind of thing. So, if you want to watch this, sit back, relax, grab a drink, and if you want to send it to any friends or family, go right ahead. It's all appreciated here. Don't be afraid to put any questions you have in the comments. To be abundantly clear, like I've said to the guest, I don't take a particular side with these kind of things. I can see both sides of the spectrum of these things. Yeah, and I will be right back to start the show. Welcome, everyone. Let me just quickly do a sound check. If my guest could just give us a sound check, please.
Yeah. Talking now. Can everyone hear me? Hopefully.
We can. Grand.
Awesome.
Look how smooth that went. I love that. Right.
Always
So
love it.
that's it. Welcome to the Chronically Offline podcast, everyone. And again, just if you've just joined, this episode is going to be about, just men's rights, men's mental health, and all that kind of stuff. Because there's a lot of controversies around these kind of things. There shouldn't be. There shouldn't be, but there is.
Absolutely.
And I came across you on TikTok Live actually, and I was like quite interested because I've wanted to do an episode on this for a fair while now, but it's getting, someone that's willing to speak on these kind
Yeah.
of things. So if you wouldn't mind
Unpopular.
just introducing yourself, tell us your name, a little bit about yourself, what you do.
Yeah. So I'm Connor. I'm 20 years old. I am the founder of an up and coming men's rights movement, the Atlas Initiative. And essentially, my goal is to create equality for men and boys across the globe. And also to deviate from your typical men's rights groups of, the modern day that tend to just denigrate women
Mm.
for the sake of uplifting men. That's not what I'm here to do. So yeah.
I love that. Or like we've got some comments like "Go on, Connor. We love you, Connor."
Hey,
Love that. We love that
got
though.
my buddies in.
I didn't realise you were that young. I mean, you did look young, but I was like, "Fucking hell, you're only 20. Jesus Christ, I feel old,
Listen,
mate."
I had people in college saying that I looked 30. Worst day of my life.
That would be.
Worst worst day of my life.
I'm nearly 29. Fucking hell. It's creeping in. Right, so we're gonna cover some questions like I normally do on here,
Yeah,
and get you to answer them, and I'll probably give a little bit of my opinion as well. And if the chat wants to give their opinion and any questions, go right ahead. If you want to take a break at any time, just let me know, and
yeah,
we
for
can
sure.
put on a break screen. So let's go. So, um, how do you define men's rights politically, and why is it a necessary focus today?
Yeah, so I think when we look at the political side of men's rights activism, so commonly, as I said in my little intro, we so
Mm,
commonly see these groups tend to fall towards the right side of the political
mm,
spectrum. And for me, there's always been a struggle of going between apoliticism and
mm,
centrism. And I guess I kind of fell on centrism through necessity because, like, there is going to be a side of men's rights, there is going to be a side of this advocacy that does rely on politics. And if I choose not to engage with that,
mm,
which let's face it, we'd all love to not engage with politics
mm,
sometimes, but if I chose not to engage with politics, I wouldn't make any real change. So centrism just felt like the most necessary option for me because we know that the right and the left both have different but equal harms to
mhm,
to males and to men.
mm,
So centrism for me is about kind of dipping my toes in both sides to find the best solutions for each and every individual problem.
No, I can get that. I mean, I think that's why I think quite similar that to myself. I think because I have a podcast, you know what I mean? I cannot be one-sided on
Yeah, no, for
everything.
sure.
Um, or else it's just not going to work really. So, what do you think is the single most damaging piece of current legislation or policy affecting men's like well-being and stuff?
I think I did a lot of thinking on this, and I think
Mm,
objectively speaking, it's the draft. There
mm,
are so many different kind of pieces of legislation, little kind of they're also hidden, it's a little nooks, but if you look, there's so
mm,
many pieces of legislation that are harmful to men. But I think objectively speaking, the draft would be the most harmful. It's the most
mm,
widespread, it harms the most amount of people.
mm.
And immediately people just think of, unaliving during war. I don't know if we can say the word on Twitch, but
I
people
think you
just
can.
think of people.
Can.
Can we?
I think
I'll say
so.
passing away just in
Passing
case.
away.
But people immediately think of, war injury or passing
Yeah.
away, but the effects of the war, especially for those drafted, are
Mm-hmm.
so much greater than that. There's long-term psychological effects. You get your PTSD, your
Mm,
CPTSD, homeless veterans, we've got
mm.
substance abuse. So I think out of all of the legislative pieces that we have, the draft would objectively be the worst.
Yeah, I can agree to that. I think it can cause. I think
Yeah.
wars cause a lot more harm than good anyway. Objectively.
Yeah, that's
Um,
a big discussion, yeah.
yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah, again, I'm in agreement to that.
Mm.
Does the Atlas Initiative align with any particular political party, or are you just strictly issue focused?
Absolutely not. We do not align with any political party whatsoever. I
Mm-hmm.
think, again, the important thing to understand is that the goal is not to be popular. The goal is not to be liked. The goal is to achieve equality for men and boys. So if that means that for one issue we align ourselves with a kind of leftist party, that's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely fine. If another issue we have to align with a right wing party, that's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely fine.
Yeah,
It's not about popularity, it's about actually fixing these issues.
that's fair. That's valid. Um, what do you think's the biggest misconception about your like advocacy and stuff and what you do?
I think, as expected, the biggest kind of
Mm,
misconception is that we're just, podcast bros, red pill,
mm,
pickup artistry,
mm,
Andrew Tate style thing, and it couldn't be further from the truth, to be honest.
mm,
I call them out just as much as I call out leftism and feminism because
mm,
people don't believe me when I say this, but red pill, black pill, all these other movements, these are some of the most misandrous movements out there because they are
mm,
ultimately the people who are pushing men into boxes. Those are the
mm,
people who are driving men into early graves, whether that be through the workplace or through self-unalivement or self-passing away, I guess. But
yeah.
I that's probably the biggest misconception. And honestly, it's one of the most hurtful ones because I couldn't imagine ever aligning with such a vile group of people.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? It's all right saying to people you just need to go to the gym and get a fancy car and you'll get loads of women. Like that is just it ain't
Yeah.
gonna happen. And I think it's so damaging to younger like men and boys consuming like
Yeah.
Andrew Tate. I'll be honest, that's my opinion. He's not the kind of person men
I,
should be looking up at.
I think, yeah, when we look at all this,
Mm,
gym culture when it comes to red pill, it's promoting eating disorders that people don't even know about, like bigorexia, right? It's promoting
mm,
men to unhealthily obsess themselves with the gym and to states of being that just aren't sustainable. So yeah, it's absolutely not
mm,
something that we align with.
yeah. So, um, what? So, like, I'm on like systemic issues now.
Sure.
So these questions focus more on like obviously law and like public policies and stuff. So, what do you think needs to change in like family court systems to support fathers and like mental health?
Yeah, so obviously family courts is one of the big ones when we look at men's rights
Yeah.
advocacy. And I think that we need to find a balance where
Mm,
women are still respected, especially victims. We need to
mm,
respect victims, but we also need to respect fathers. We also need to respect
mm,
male victims as well. So I think the
mm,
biggest one off the top, completely like off the top of my head, I would say 50-50 custody. That would
mm.
be off the bat, without proven abuse, 50-50 custody is the way to go.
Yeah.
I would also be a huge advocate for something we like to call financial abortion.
Mm,
So, in the same way that a woman should absolutely have the right to sign away parenthood, so should a man. And obviously, that's going to look
mm,
different given that he's not carrying the child. But I think that both parties should be allowed that option because, as we know, consent to sex is not consent to parenthood.
Yeah, I agree. Again, I used to say this when even when I was more like left wing, like far left, and no, I'm
Yeah,
in agreement. Like with paper abortion and that, you should be, at the end of the day, if you've made it abundantly clear you do not want that child, you shouldn't have that
yeah.
obligation. I'm sorry, people might
The
not agree with me that are watching, but you
the
know,
left are making some amazing strides when it comes to parenthood, which is really surprising,
mm,
so,
mm,
very recently in the UK, I need to do more research to get the name of the bill, but very recently they were talking about more fair paternity leave in
yeah,
the UK. They were talking about this in the House of Commons, so, yeah, they're making some pretty great strides there, which is really refreshing to see.
no, I agree completely. How does military or veterans policy often fail male mental health? What do you reckon could fix it?
I think when when we look at the military and when we look at veterans,
Mm-hmm.
we need to look no further than society, right?
Mm,
Because the same way that society is failing men is the same way that the military is failing
yeah.
soldiers and veterans alike. It's your typical you look through all their mandates, you look through all their policies, and it seems really great
Mm,
on the surface, but it's all the same CBT helplines sitting on the couch across from someone.
yeah.
They're not putting in the research into how men
Yeah.
express their symptoms. They're not it
Mm,
would only take 2 seconds on Google to find out that kinesthetic therapies work better for men, which they're not investing in.
mm,
So I think in the same way that society is failing men, it's the same way the military is. They're just not putting in the effort, and I
yeah.
think that is despicable given that these men, and women for that
Mm,
matter, are giving their lives for this country, and we can't
mm.
even support them mentally.
No, I agree completely with you on that one. Yeah, I think we definitely failed our veterans and stuff. It's not on. It's embarrassing, really. If anything, you
Yeah,
know.
it
Um,
it's embarrassing and it's really deeply shameful, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. No, I agree with you. So regarding education, what policy changes would help address the academic disparity for boys and young men, do you reckon?
Mm. So I think when we look at education, it's such a
Mm,
complex one because children are so complex, and I
yeah,
think that the biggest thing, I mean, education as a whole needs to be reformed. Like, we can
yeah,
agree there surely,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It doesn't work, but especially when we look at how education affects boys
Mm-hmm,
and young men, it is built upon what we would call oral learning modalities. So this is,
mm-hmm,
you're listening, you're remembering, and you're repeating and you're regurgitating. It doesn't work for boys and men. We know this. It doesn't work for neurodiverse people either,
mm-hmm,
actually. It's a really bad learning style, but we do know it favors women more
yeah,
often than not. So I think what we need, the first thing that we should be doing is individualized learning is going to be way too costly. So I
mm,
think at the very least we could have group group individualized education. So for men,
mm,
for women, for neurodiverse people.
mm,
I think that's something. So we need to implement more kinesthetics in school. That subjects I'm sure you'll remember like
yeah,
woodwork and home economics.
yeah,
We need more of that. And I think on top of that as well, sorry, I would just say that we need more
yeah,
outreach programs. We have a
yeah,
lot of, women in STEM, which is great. And I think we need to also have boys in HEAL, which is your health, education, administration, and
mm,
literacy.
mm,
We need more men in these sectors. So I would say that would be a really huge one for education.
yeah. Not against that either. I keep agreeing with you. Yeah, I'm not against that either.
Yeah.
We've got a comment in the chat saying, Sean says you're doing brilliant, and then Heather put, I feel like a proud mum. This is our baby.
Oh, thank you so much.
You've trained him well.
Trained him well is insane.
What was it? No, I'm in agreement with that. I think we
Yeah,
definitely should
no,
see
for
more
sure.
men in like. I had like once. This is again. This you can call this an anecdotal experience, but I had a male
That's
midwife,
fine.
and he was fantastic. He was so
Oh,
attentive. He
really?
was, oh yeah, he was like that. Because then I'll tell you what, I knew this was a little bit of casual sexism. So I had a midwife that obviously came to my home after I gave birth, and she was like, um, "What did you think to that male midwife then?" And I went, "He were really good. What do you mean?" Like expecting me to be like, ooh, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, we're really fucking good. Like,
It's this is the kind of shame that, like, a lot of people will try and they'll try and gaslight you into thinking that men are not discriminated against in the workplace. This is the kind of discrimination that men face on a daily if
yeah,
they choose to become nurses and midwives, like you said.
yeah, yeah. I know we've got a comment say, hi, man, I'm I can't speak. Oh my gosh. Man
It's
in
okay.
administration here, working in an office full of women apart from the business owner. Yeah,
Oh, no.
yeah. Um,
Hey, good on you, man.
yeah.
Good on you.
To be fair, they're a nice bunch, actually, to be fair. So I think it makes it probably a
Mhm.
little bit easier to work with them. Um,
Yeah,
but no, you do see casual stuff of like things just being dropped, like sexism still. Both ways, obviously, both ways. I think what
yeah,
bothers me as a woman, I'll tell you from a woman, now not everyone will agree with me on this, but for women, we shouldn't be stooping as low as other people do. And when, because you'll get
yeah.
the odd man that will be like a cunt in a comment section, just saying horrible
Oh, for
shit,
sure.
like, oh, well, what were you wearing, right? But then obviously, I have seen men post, that, hey, I've been an SA victim of this. And a woman's commented, well, what were you wearing? And I'm like, that doesn't make you any better. You don't look
It
any
doesn't help.
better.
It does not
Literally,
help.
you still look like a cunt. I don't know what you think you look
Yeah,
like. Like, and I call it out, me. I do. If I see stuff like that, and I think a few people that know me on it, I will call it out because I'm just like,
yeah.
let's not stoop.
It's
Like,
it's not cute. It's
no,
not cute. It's not pretty. It's
no,
not empowering. It just makes you look like a really bad person, and that immediately makes a lot of people, and myself included, it makes us lose respect for you because you could have been a
yeah,
driving force for change, not only for men, but also for women as well.
mm-hmm,
But instead, you chose to just be a part of the problem, and that I can
yeah.
never forgive that, to be honest.
No, I'm exactly the same. Or they'll try and throw to me. I mean, especially, I mean, you'll get it as well. But I'll comment on something and they'll be like, "Are you right wing then?" And I'm like, "No, mate. No, mate.
Yeah,
No, actually, I'm
totally.
not. I just have a different because I've got a different view to you doesn't mean
Yeah,
I'm
it's
right
almost
wing."
it's almost like a slur nowadays for people who disagree with you.
No,
Are you right
I know,
wing?
eventually, like that. Yeah. Um. So so change. So we've done that. So obviously, as you know, like the unaliving rate, we'll say whatever, or self
Yeah,
unaliving rate is dominated by men. That is pretty typically known. What
yeah.
specific health policies do you advocate to like lower it? Again, obviously, I'm assuming like mental health and stuff.
For sure. So, I mean, like, I can sit here and I will sit here and I'll talk about all the things that
Mm-hmm.
I think should change. But above all else, if I could sum it up to one word, it would be empathy.
Yeah.
That, like, it sounds such a basic thing, but the absolute apathy that we have towards males who are
Yeah.
struggling in this society, in this climate, especially in the modern West,
Yeah.
it really is frightening. I think that in the same way that we check up yearly for things like blood pressure and
Mm-hmm.
we check up yearly for things like cholesterol, we should be checking up yearly for mental health because it's
Mm-hmm.
a health problem in the same way that heart problems are.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think it's one of the ones that we need to be checking up on yearly. We need more funding. We need more research. Men are 3 to 4 times more likely to pass away from things like
Mm-hmm.
anorexia because we don't have the research. We don't know how it looks. These
Yeah.
men look healthy right up until you're at their funeral. So I
Mm-hmm.
think we need more funding, more research, and we need more empathy. Empathy above all.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's why I liked getting you on here because I was like, you're not one of these like crazy bastards. You actually are like proper down to earth, you, um, which we love. So how do workplace policies and gender equity mandates overlook or negatively affect male workers? Do you think? Do you think like there's like sexism in work with for men?
I think it's difficult because I mean, I always want to say like when we look at dangerous workplaces, men make up 98% of dangerous workplace passing
Mm,
aways, right? Or any workplace passing aways,
mm,
98%, and that's obviously an insanely high number. And I'm not suggesting that women shouldn't make up
mm,
more of that, but through all the women in STEM, through all the outreach, we still see women underrepresented in these fields.
yeah.
However, I still think, being a hopeful optimist as I am, I still think that we should be promoting outreach for men as well, but not to get men into engineering. Men are already like halfway under a car fixing the insides of it. We need men to be
Yeah.
nurses. We need men to be, elderly carers because if you the way that I always put it, if you had a grandfather and
Yeah.
he was, already having to give up so much of his dignity by going into a care home,
Mhm.
would you not at least like him to have the dignity of having a male to wash him? Because right now he maybe wouldn't. Because For the NHS, the entirety, that's janitors, receptionists, doctors, nurses, men only make up 24% of
Mm.
that staff force. So I just think we need more incentives for men to get into these fields, not only for their own benefit, but also for the benefit of other people as well. I think that would be a huge thing.
I agree. Yeah, I'm in agreement to that as well. I ain't got much to say because I agree. I ain't got really much to combat it with. Um, so what what's the most effective way for a listener to, like, support you? Do you want to tell us a little bit what they can do to help your cause?
Well, it's gonna sound counterintuitive, but the first thing you should be doing, it shouldn't be anything to do with me. The first thing you need to do is find the closest man in your life. Is
Mm-hmm.
that a boyfriend, a fiance, a husband, a father, an uncle, whoever that man in your life is? Ask him if he's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That I won't lie, like, of course, I would love to grow my platform and have
Mm-hmm.
more fame and reach more people, but above all else, it would mean so much more to me if you could just find the man in your life and ask him if he's okay, because ultimately that's what's gonna cause the change anyway.
Yeah.
So, that's the first thing that you can do, even if I don't know about it spiritually, I will be completely supported by that.
Yeah, that's fair. So what do you think is the organization's single biggest legislative goal for the next 5 years? What's your goals?
The difficult ones. So I think one of the first things, and we have protests lined up for next
Mm-hmm.
year, but one of the biggest ones that we want to change right away is to get non-therapeutic infant male circumcision completely illegalized,
Yeah.
because there is no reason to be chopping off healthy body parts. I can't believe I'm having to explain that to people, but there's no reason to be doing it. I think it's completely insane that we still do it as a society. And I think on top of
Yeah.
that, I would love it. It's not so much legislation, but I would love it if we could just get our feet firmly in that door and open
Yeah.
up the space for men to have more resources for their mental health, more resources when they're victims of domestic violence, more resources in general. We need to open up that space for men and hold it open for good.
I agree. Yeah. We've actually gotten through basically all the questions already. Um, we've gotten through them really quick today. Is there any, like, last things you want to say? Tell people what your platform's called and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of last things, I would just say if you want to learn more, I go live on TikTok just about every day, and I would recommend that you check it out sometime. Come up, have a discussion with me. I'm
Mm-hmm.
generally quite an person.
Yeah.
So it's the Atlas Initiative on TikTok. I also have a Discord server if you're interested in being there. And again, if I could leave you with anything, it's just check up on the men in your life, because that could genuinely, it sounds so dramatic, but that could be the difference between them living and dying. So check up on the men in
Yeah.
your life.
I agree. Yeah, this has been really productive, guys. So I think because we got everything and it was really good. So I'll say goodbye for now, everyone. Thank you for joining, and
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
no problem. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.